You are listening to the Jam Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is award-winning director Cindy Meehl, and we're going to be talking about her new documentary entitled Jimmy and the Demons. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Thank you so much for having me. I really love that you asked me here.
Well, you're welcome. This movie, wow, it's really fascinating. He's a fascinating artist and character, and he and his wife. It's just lovely to see their relationship and this project because it's a pretty daunting project. So, before we really begin, let's tell our audience what Jimmy and the Demons is all about.
Well, Jimmy is an artist and he's not a spring chicken. He started a project when he was 79 years old and I had known him for probably about 10 years at that point, not quite 10 years. And I was fascinated with this project that he was doing. He was hand carving wood figures that just seemed to appear magically out of his hands. And he had something he had never done before. Um, he's famous for doing these gigantic cardboard sculptures. So I thought, well, this would be something fascinating to do because he's also a larger than life character. He's very inspiring to the people around him, and he's a real breath of fresh air, which I think is lacking on the screen sometimes these days with
Yeah.
we see enough dark things. And so I wanted to document Actually, I wanted to do a short film to document this project, and it turned into a much larger film. So, um, is that enough, or do you want more about what it's about? I don't want to give away everything, but yeah,
No,
it's
no,
about
no.
an artist creating his magnum opus, and how to how to be a human being, how to create art, and how to grow old in a graceful way that you sure don't seem old.
Right, right. And again, I don't want to give anything away, but I don't think this is giving something away that both of it was it both of his parents or his father died at age 79. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And
And his wife's father, so
so
he
70, go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's kind of a superstitious kind of guy and he worries a lot. And so he just felt sure that was, 79, he starts this huge project and he thought, I don't know if I'm going to finish this project. I don't know if I can get past 79. That was his real goal at that point.
Right, right, right. And that's what is so interesting that he starts this project at that point in time. It in and he is Jewish, but he's been commissioned to do this project by a Catholic collector, a very big artistic director, I mean collector, art collector, who he had some of Jimmy's work already in his home. Is that correct? So it's really interesting, the religious aspects of this, a beautiful project, and how he came about doing that. I think that was also fascinating in this story. Can you talk a little bit more about that, Cindy?
Yes, yes. This collector, his name is Michael Morocco, and he has 30 acres. It's really one of the most esteemed gardens in the world. He makes garden rooms, and in each room, he puts a piece of sculpture. And they're amazing pieces of sculpture. You'll see it in the film, this
Right.
property. And so Jimmy, who's famous for the cardboard monkeys, they actually took some cardboard monkeys and made them into bronze monkeys. So there's these whole groups of bronze monkeys within these gardens um, but this was something he wanted for inside the house and he didn't really tell Jimmy what to do. He said you can do anything you want, which for an artist is exciting and daunting all at the same time. And so it took him a while and honestly he just came to it. It was almost, as he calls it, a Hanani moment. It was God given to him and he took this, when it sort of appeared in his sketchbook, which is almost like magic, but he drew it obviously, but it immediately had this profound effect on him because it represents heaven and basically hell to heaven, and despair to hope. And that's what attracted him to the project. And then the collector saw it and was just like, yeah, do this, do this. So he was very excited for him to do it. But it took 4 years to do it. So it was no small project.
No, but when you, I, he carved each one of these. I mean, it's just truly amazing. It truly is. 4 years seems like not enough time to do what he did, actually, because each one of the demons and the angels and Jesus and everything else that's in this, the devil, all of it is all meticulously hand carved by him. I just beautiful, just beautiful. Had he done a lot of carvings? Because you said he did a lot of cardboard work. His work was in cardboard, which is also interesting to choose that medium for his artwork.
Yes. Well, the only thing he had carved, but it's not carving, is he did a zillion woodcuts, and you would know his work from the New York Times because every 3 weeks he would do an illustration, but extremely intricate. If you look up James Grashow, and you'd just be blown away. He did Jethro Tull's album cover, the inside, several of Jethro Tull's albums and other albums, Yardbirds, and he was known for these just incredibly detailed woodcuts. And then he did the cardboard, and he worked. Alan Stone had a very famous gallery in New York City, and for 50 years he showed his work there. And he did other things, but he had never carved wooden figures like that. He'd never really done a wooden sculpture.
And I think that, again, to do that later in life, to learn something, I think it's so important as we get older, as I continue to get older, to keep doing new things, to keep stretching ourselves and trying new things and not relying on, the same old way that we do things. I think it's important for our brains, our spirit, everything, our physical well-being is to continue to stretch ourselves. And obviously he did with this because each one, again, I go back to they're so intricate. Each one of them, they're just pretty amazing and how he did that. And it's not something that he always has done, as you just said. So, as he started this, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Why did you decide to make this film? I mean, you knew him for a while.
Mhm.
Your neighbors, right? Is that y- your
Yeah, he's
what
not
neighbors?
far. He's not next door, but
No.
he's, probably 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's neighbors nowadays.
Neighbors. Yeah, neighbors. Yeah, for all practical purposes. He and his wife were really good friends of me and my husband and some other group of Reading friends. And I would go visit a studio. I love art. I collect art. The
I
piece
can see that in the
I
background.
that's one of his woodcuts. That's a
Is it?
self-portrait. It's an early self-portrait where it's him as a dog at his drawing table, and it's quite incredible. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
things. I didn't turn the lights on, so it's not lit up, unfortunately. But anyway, I loved going to the studio. I saw him working on this piece, and people have when I first made my first movie, I was only just turning 50. So I kind of understood going out on a limb when you really had no business like suddenly changing courses or anything. And I just was like, I want to make a film about Buck Brannaman. At the time, I made a film called Buck, and turned out really well. So I was intrigued that he was taking on such a crazy, daunting project at his age, that he was Jewish and carving Jesus, marching through demons, holding a Catholic cathedral. That was so ironic and thought was interesting. But mainly, it was Jimmy himself, which I think is just such a unique human being. And you can't, it's lightning in a bottle. You can't really capture what Jimmy is or who he is, but he's the most giving, loving, and the poster child for how to be a good, kind human being. And in this day and age of where we live, I thought, this would be an incredible, if I could capture him on screen, it would be an amazing gift. And what was interesting, because it was going to be just a short, is that as soon as I saw the footage, just 2 days of shooting, and I thought, let's edit this and it'll be great. Oh my God, it was just you. there's very few people you put a camera on with just cold and they light up the screen, and Jimmy lights up every inch of that screen. And I think everybody agrees with that. I mean, we've heard it over and over. People come out of that film and they go, it's just not at all what we expected. We thought it was an art biopic. And if that's what you're expecting, you'd be disappointed. I mean, you'll get a biopic, but it's also so much more. You're getting an amazing human being.
Yeah, yeah, you will. You captured his spirit, definitely, and his wonderful, beautiful wife. Let's talk a little about it. It's Guzzy. Guzzy, is that what you
Busy, busy. Yeah.
is he?
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about her because she's prominent in this film also, and obviously in his life. So there's sort of the yin and the yang, I guess, right?
Yes, yes. And, Jimmy is exuding, funny. If he's funny, he's happy. He seems to always be happy, but he definitely has a dark side. And I think most artists do. Have that deep, inside, always philosophizing over, what's going to happen, what's wrong, what's right. And, and he had a dark side more so when he met her. And she's very buoyant. She's very happy all the time, and she just is a sunshine. She's also a fashion icon. Like people recognize her on the street in a heartbeat because she has a very unique haircut. She always dresses extremely fashionably. She used to have a clothing store before she went into a different business. She worked the whole time. I mean, when you're married to an artist, unless they're, in the Met 24/7, there you still it's not easy to be an artist,
Right.
and make a living for a whole family. And he did. He never had another job. He was always, doing art. He did teach at Pratt one day a week, but she wanted to work, and she enjoyed her work. So she's this amazing fashion icon. Her early work was with fashion, and it shows. And they were married 55 years when we started filming. So, at this point, um, yeah. Anyway,
Might be close to 60 now.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, it would be. But I don't know if you know that Jimmy passed away.
No, 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 no. When did that happen, Cindy?
Well, he was fine when we were filming, and about 6 months afterwards, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer,
Mm.
um, and and had about another 6 months. And he made it to Tribeca. You can look him up. He did the Q&As at Tribeca. He would have been at every showing of this film. He loved the film. He was really happy. He loved that people understood him, I think, and what he went through. Um, but yeah, very sadly,
Mm.
it's, you know, not going to be 60 years.
Sorry
But
about that. Pancreatic cancer, that is a killer. There's not much you can do about that one, apparently.
very heartbreaking
Uh,
for everyone involved, especially because but what a great legacy, and, something to have in perpetuity for his life and legacy.
and his daughter, he has two daughters. Was it
He
two
has a
daughters?
daughter and a son.
His
He
daughter and
has
his son has two.
Zoe, who's a rabbi in LA, and his son, Zachary. And he lives here in Connecticut and is a businessman.
So, and how is his wife doing?
Gussie she's great. We see her all the time, and she's out, and she's still just such a ray of sunshine. But it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to have been with somebody that long that was
Right.
bigger than life and the life of every party. And he's missed beyond measure by everyone that knew him. We should all have such a legacy and love when we go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, how fortuitous that you decided to make this movie, to make this documentary about him and his life, because we do get to live his legacy through your film and get to know him better and his artwork, which will continue to live on. obviously, too, as this film will continue to live on, too. So, what a beautiful memorial to him. And I did not know about his passing. Now I'm going to cry a little bit, but
I know, I know. Don't make me cry. I've cried quite a bit in the last 6 months.
how long ago was it that he passed away?
September.
Okay.
It was in September. So what are
It
we
was
in?
about 6 months. Yeah. A little over 6 months. So, yeah. So that's hard. So what was we'll move on to another topic.
Sorry. I know.
No, no,
I
no, no, no,
sometimes I
no,
just
no.
don't mention it, but when we were starting to talk about anniversaries, I thought I had to say, you
Yeah.
know.
And I'm glad you did, Cindy. I'm glad you did. So the people who are listening to this and watching it afterwards will know about a little bit. Because I was wondering, there was a point in the film I was wondering if he got this all completed that, he might pass away. So it's interesting, that I even had that thought, because of his premonition of dying young. But he wasn't, he was still in his 80s when he passed away. Uh, when you said you started this as a short film and then decided there was more there that needed to be told, and you continued with it for the 4 years that he, was making this project. During that time, what was, I always like to ask this question, it's one of my favorite questions. What was the most difficult part of filming this and making this documentary?
Oh, it on one hand, it was the easiest film I've ever made, or the most fun film I've ever made. Making films, making documentaries is not easy because you don't have a script. You're following action. You're having to guess, should I go? Is it time? You're trying to follow the action, and you can't be there every day, obviously. But everyone in my crew, we were all in love with the two of them, and they would stop and have lunch. Like you never did that. That she would set a table and we would sit down and have lunch. So it was really a wonderful, wonderful group of people, a very intimate, small crew. But in the film, and you'll have to go to see it to see what there's some high drama, and we only brushed the surface of this high drama because it was basically a summer from hell, basically. That was not fun. Jimmy was got very upset about something for good reason, and we just had to navigate it because here again, with making a documentary, you go with the flow. If something bad happens, you go with that. Something doesn't happen you expected, you have to work with that. But in this case, and you know what I'm talking about,
Right.
there's a real drama, and that just put a pall on everything for a little while, just because Jimmy was so sad. So
Yeah, and he was so excited about it, and
yeah,
it was we don't going to give anything away, but it was their idea
yeah,
to
yeah.
do this, and so then he proceeds, and then whatever. I mean, it just I was also like, what?
I
Are
know,
you
I
kidding
know.
me? I would have I can't imagine how he wouldn't have been incredibly, upset and perhaps a little depressed about it, I think, because he put so much into it, to doing it. But thank goodness there's a happy ending.
Yes, yes, we all need a happy ending, and
Sweet.
I think we all deal with people that can be very difficult and very cruel and very awful. Um, uh, we can all relate to that. I can relate to it right now. I'm in a business deal where somebody's just like, "Are you really going to be a 5-year-old?" It just happens, and I always believe you got to take the high road. You got to do the best thing, and so you can look in the mirror at the end of the day. But
Mhm.
some people are just cruel and ugly and mean. Um, and so I think we can all relate to how do you deal with that? How do you go on? Um, and it's a good lesson. The two of them, they overcome.
And that's what it's all about in life, right? We all have those obstacles that we all have to overcome, and they come up again in different ones, different ways. And that's what gives us character and makes us who we are. Sometimes I go, I think I have enough character now. I don't know if I need any more to
Yeah,
keep going.
you got to build on that courage and that, you got to learn the lessons and just keep taking the gifts from those challenges, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I say that all the time. There's a gift here somewhere, and finding out what that gift is and being grateful for whatever lesson it is we're supposed to be learning in that time. I will say this, I'm sure, and I don't again want to give it away. I'm sure they're very much regretted
You
that
know,
decision.
I am sure they do, but I honestly nobody would know particularly.
Okay,
So
nobody's speaking.
we'll leave it at that.
Okay,
But
we'll leave it at
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm like you. I mean, I say this in every interview, I think, because I only am choosing movies that are uplifting. I just anything that's like too, I shouldn't say too depressing because I do a lot about World War II and the Holocaust and things like that. But again, there's lessons to be learned in that. But anything that's shoot him up, kill him, these kind of movies, I don't do. I don't cover anymore. And because I think we need to be uplifted. We see enough. There's enough reality out there on our everyday television sets without having to watch more of it in our films. And I think what we want to do is go to movies and be uplifted. And this film will uplift you, no question about it when you go see it. It is touching, and there's a deep spirituality to it in many ways and many levels. And I just think it's a wonderful movie, and what a great tribute to Jimmy. And you did a beautiful job with it, Cindy. I can see why you've won awards doing your filmmaking because it really is. It's just a lovely, beautiful film, and it will inspire many, on many levels. And artists should be any artist should be watching this film.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for that because I'm right there with you. I feel like, we have so much negative stuff and, even films and streaming series, everything seems to be have such a dark side to it. And you come away not feeling great and you turn on the news and you feel even worse.
I know.
So I really do like to do something that will lift people up and give them hope and give them a new perspective, bring them into a world that they're just not aware of or not used to, and and let them grow from that. So I'm really happy to hear what you just said. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I mean it from my heart too. It's if we all we have to do look right now is look at the success of Project Hail Mary. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I
and
did.
those are the kind. It's hugely successful, as we all know, and those are the kinds of movies people want to go to because you laugh, you cry, you feel uplifted, you learn. It's just a beautiful film, well acted, well done, visual effects, all of it. Hollywood, listen to this. Pay attention. We don't need copycats, but what people want, and I'm hearing it over and over, we don't want to go to the movies and just feel like we're getting too much negativity already all the time. So we need to go to the movies to take us away from it. And that's what movies are about, to take us away from our humdrum everyday world that we exist in right now, and we need to be uplifted and learn and grow and laugh and cry. I laughed, I cried, when I watched this. So it's a wonderful movie, and you've done an excellent job with it, Cindy. So again, thank you for making it, and I'm glad you were able to capture Jimmy in this period of his life.
We are too. And speaking of, people, audiences, young people really love this movie too. And we had it was like a 9-year-old girl. Her mother, who I didn't know, but she had driven like 3 miles to a film. I mean, three hours to a film festival, and I met her, and she had been a student of Jimmy's. And then she emailed me later. She took my card, and she said, when my daughter, she had 3 daughters with her, and she said, when my youngest got in the car, she said, "Mama, that film just blessed me." And I thought, from your lips to God's ears,
Oh,
a 9-year-old girl really she got it, and so this isn't just an adult film or for people in their 80s for sure.
yeah.
We have all ages that come away from this film just blown away. They just really relate to it on so many levels.
No, I agree. It's not for one particular age group. It is a movie that families can go to. And again, that's really important nowadays that you can bring, young children, as you just said, and grandparents and everybody in between to see this movie. So speaking of that, where can people see Jimmy and the Demons?
Well, right this minute, you can see it in theaters. It's still playing at the Quad in New York. It's going to be opening in Santa Fe soon, Albuquerque, uh, Los Angeles. It's going to Santa Barbara.
Oh, that's where I am.
And oh, seriously?
Yeah,
Santa Barbara?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm actually coming for the Q&A into Santa Barbara. I think it's just one screening.
The
But
SBIFF. Yeah, the
wow,
Santa Barbara International Film Festival, probably at the Riviera or at their new theater that they have, the McCurley Film Center.
I will send you the information.
Okay, and I'll get your email after we get off the air here.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Yeah, love to meet
No,
you in person.
it's so right now, if you go to jimmyandthedemons.com, you can see where what theaters it's playing in and follow us on Facebook. We also are putting out some little clips, little extra, we call it cutting room floor, from the cutting room floor. There's so much. There was just so much of Jimmy and funny things that happened that just didn't fit into the story arc. And you try to boil down 300 hours into 90 minutes, which is basically what we did. But there was so much, just the jewels that were left on the floor. So we are letting those out a little bit in Facebook and stuff. So please follow us, please share things, and these days it's hard in independent film to get the word out. There's so much noise out there on the internet and how many movies there are to see and this and that. It's a very crowded field. So we love people are always saying like, how can I get my friend to see it? How can we see it? And so we're building this community and it will be streaming. I just can't tell you the exact date, but probably, I guess, by the fall. But right now we're doing a theatrical run because it seems to be what the art houses are wanting.
Yes, yes. Well, great. We'll put that up on when we have our social media, when we post our social media, and we can cross promote and all of that. But we'll put that up there for people. So thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much. I wish you much success, and
Yeah.
I look forward to meeting you when you come to Santa Barbara.
Yes, please come to the screening
I
because
will.
yeah, there's a lot of people excited about that. So that would be fantastic.
Great. I will. Thank you so much. Wish you much success. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.